do a run through of my planning system. I wanted to do this video at the end of December, beginning of January. It kind of felt like the right time, you know, end of the year, beginning of a new year. However, I knew I was going back to school and I didn't want to show the system without that stuff included. Now, I knew, because I'm really grateful for this, because I know that my system works for me. I knew that getting school stuff in here would work. I wasn't concerned about it. I wasn't concerned about having to change any of this or how any of these pieces work together. I've used the same system for so long that I knew I could add to it and it wouldn't make this all fall apart, right? But I did want to show it kind of in its entirety, so I waited until classes started. So I do use digital things as well. I want to say that up front. I have pulled all the due dates for everything that I can off of each syllabus for each class into my digital calendar and my reminders app. I use an iPhone. Each class has its own list in the reminders app, and all of the due dates that I have for everything right now are all in there so that they are on my phone, basically because I find that the more places I have things, the better they stick in my head without me really having to consciously work to remember them, right? I don't mind overlapping reminders, basically. For me, digitally, each device has its own tasks. Like my laptop is basically for like producing things, right? Studying, editing videos, for school, like writing papers, whatever the case may be, research, things like that. My iPad is basically for reading, and that is pretty much it, and watching, you know, shows and whatnot, but reading. My phone is like communicating, okay? Texting. Sometimes I'll do emailing on the laptop, but a lot of times it is on my phone. So, and then my watch is a lot of quick capture and reminders. So quick capturing stuff for the grocery list, super easy on the watch because the whole family shares a grocery list. I can just say something when it pops in my head that needs to go on the grocery list. I don't have to think about it anymore. And we have a really kind of full day as far as driving. So having reminders go off, hey, you got to leave in 5 minutes. I'm always conscious of what time it is if I'm working or studying, but it does help to kind of have a little extra poke to remember. So that's digitally, but let's talk about paper. So I have 6 main sections in here. I have year, month, week, daily, journal, and projects, okay? Some of these sections I'm in all the time. Some of them I'm in, you know, varying amounts of time each month or each week, let's say. But what I found for your system can be really important is how does information flow into and out of your planner, right? Are you able to put information in your planner in a place that makes sense for your brain to be able to later retrieve it without having to give it a whole bunch of thought or without having to worry about that information being lost, right? And that's why I said I'm really grateful I've been planning for as long as I have, because I just know I have a system that works. So once all these classes started, I was able to just slot that right into the system. So let's say I'm going to set up a month, okay? So let's say we're going to set up January. So the first thing that I do is I look at any holidays, go on to the monthly, right? And then my husband's travel schedule for work goes on to the monthly. And then anything going on for the boys. So days off of school, doctor's appointments, things like that go on to the monthly. Okay. I do not have the daily school schedule on here because while it varies a little bit, here's mine, here's my son's. And then we have, you know, another one in high school, another one in grade school, another one in grad school. The older kids drive themselves, so I don't have their stuff on here. The stuff I have on here is stuff that is going to affect me, basically. Either I'm like, you know, this one's working, so, you know, he'll take my car to work that day because I know I don't have to be anywhere else, and that means I don't have to drop him off and pick him up, right? That kind of thing. So that's what goes on here, is stuff that is going to affect me, basically. I don't need the older kids' schedules on here unless they are going to affect something, then they do go on here. Okay, so that is kind of what populates the monthly as far as the scheduled things, right? And then my monthlies have grid in between, and I have actually added a small page to it. So I have this grid in between, right? In between each month. So up here is some of like videos maybe I'm thinking about doing. Over here is a list of tasks for the month. And then this insert and this spread is all school stuff. I wanted the school tasks for the month added into the monthly, right? Because my monthly is how I populate my weeks. Okay, so I wanted everything for the month. So these are the due dates for things, right? And then this is the list of everything for each class for the month of January. And then I just cross them off as I go. Okay, so that way, this is how my monthly functioned before. I had, lists, I had videos I wanted to do, lists of stuff that needed to be done. I used to have bill due dates in here, but I moved that to a separate insert so they'd be all together for the year on one insert rather than spread out throughout the whole year's worth of monthlies. So, which was great because it left this space so that I could utilize this way. So I just slotted all the school stuff directly into how my monthly already works. Okay, now for my weekly, I have, let me get there. Like here was last week. So this column here is the schedule. This is who needs to be where when, right? Not what time I have to drop them off, not what time I have to pick them up, but just this is when he has school, this is when he has school, this is when I have this class, this is when he has that class, this is when he has to work, right? Because these are the ones that affect me. These are either I need to drive myself or I need to drop these guys off and pick them up, okay? So this is all schedule. I do use small icon stickers from Randy.plans to mark bill due dates. And then this column, so let me backtrack a bit. So this, I have the driving schedule all laid out for each day, right? So that's where these timed things all come from, because none of these are all school schedules. They are not on that monthly calendar. The work schedule is though. So first I put in the driving schedule because that's the beginning part of the day. That starts at 7:15 in the morning and runs until everybody's out of school. And then if we have anything going on later in the evening, that is on the monthly. If anybody has to work, that is on the monthly. So school schedules go down first. Everything goes chronologically as far as how the day goes. Anything else going on for the week usually is afternoons or evenings, so that goes after that. This column is day-specific tasks. So these are things that have to happen specifically on that day, things that are due that day for school, let's say. So that's where this sheet and these lists come in. They help populate this. I also put in here TV shows I'm watching, day-specific tasks, things like that. Okay, this little column of boxes is my husband's travel schedule, which I used to put on the bottom line over here, but I wanted to leave space. I knew I might need extra space for school stuff, so I just moved it over to here because I wasn't using this whole box. The rest of what's in each box is just what we had for supper that night, which honestly keeps me from making the same things over and over and gives me a good reference when I can't think of anything to get from the grocery store to make for supper. I have past meals to kind of look at, right? This section up here is the list of school stuff that needs to be done that doesn't necessarily have a due date. This was the first week of classes. I did modify it a little bit. For this coming week, I put what we are doing in each class for the week, and then I marked the days that are specific due dates. So in stats, I have assignments due, homework due on Tuesday. In humanities, I have homework and quizzes on Tuesday and Sunday. Anything that's due dates, I just mark them over here because they are in this column over here. I didn't really need to repeat them like I did over here. Okay, so that is that box. And then this is just the weekly list of stuff that needs to be done. It's not necessarily school stuff. It can be little notes about school stuff I need to do for the kids or with the kids or for the house or whatever the case may be. Okay, so that is how things filter from here to here. Okay, and I should have said this monthly list where these projects come from, this comes from the project section in the back, and I'm not going to get into that whole section right now because that's a whole other thing, but these end up getting filtered into this list as well. Okay, that's where this task list comes from, is from this monthly task list. All right, and things that just come up, as the days go by. So this has given me a snapshot of just this week instead of that whole month, including the school schedules, because that's driving that I have to do. I don't want to put all this, every single box of the monthly full of this. I won't be able to see things like, oh, don't forget so-and-so has a dentist appointment that day. It will get lost in all of this if every single box on the monthly looks like that, right? This is stuff that's the same time Monday through Friday, all during the school year. But I do need to have it here because I have to do that driving. So then this gets filtered down into my dailies. So let's look at this last week. So for my dailies, I have the specific drop-off and pickup times for each thing on the weekly, right? So he's in school 7:30 to 2. So at 7:15, I have to leave to drop him off. He starts school at 9:55. So I have to leave at 9:40 to drop him off. Then I have a class. You see what I'm saying? This is just the windows of time. This is when they start. This is when they end. This is specifically what I have to do to make this happen. Okay, so I break it down into my daily, because when your days look like that, right? When your days are a lot of driving and classes and meetings and kids' haircuts and whatnot, and when your partner travels a lot for his job and you're the only one making this stuff happen, I need this broken down like this. I need to be able to see it. I was working on just a list for the day, and I would have these things listed out plus tasks for the day. That worked great. Now I'm throwing in tasks for school. I needed more space, and I need to break this down on a timeline. I'm back to that point again where I need a specific timeline for the day. I don't really want to look at this and try to figure out when I need to leave from where to get who. I just want to be able to go do it. So that's what this is for. Okay? That is how my daily works. Now, throughout the day, things will pop up, right? So let's say this was our very first day of classes. Our stats teacher told us, this bank of homework is going to be due next Tuesday. I have this open on my desk during class, so I just jotted it down real fast during class. This functions as my inbox. I do not have a separate inbox section for the main planner. I have a small inbox section in the projects for when I come up with ideas for videos and whatnot. And for the house. So this is an inbox list for the house. And then where's my topics sticker? Yeah, I'm on top of it, aren't I? These are all notes, things that have popped in my head. This all functions as an inbox for videos, stuff we need to do for the house. There it is. Video things I want to do or write about or do videos about. So that is an inbox, but it's within this small little project section. It's an inbox specific to projects. I don't have an inbox section up here because my dailies function as my inbox. Anything that pops in my head, oh, I'm going to need to do that. Oh, I need to keep an eye on that. Oh, that hasn't happened yet. I might need to call them. I'm kind of waiting for that. All of that lives on my dailies, because then at the end of the day, I zip through this real quick and go, oh, okay, it was on the syllabus that homework would be done, but there wasn't a due date on the syllabus for it. Now I know it's due next Tuesday. So I jotted that down on my weekly so I would know, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, that bank of homework was going to be due. So when I set up this coming week, I put it in there. That's the day it's due. So I can look ahead and go, okay, what's coming up that's due? If I happen to be looking at my monthly and it pops in my head, hey, when is that due? If I'm already up here in the monthly, I can see very quickly when stuff is due. I have a whole list, or I have it set out on a calendar. So if I want to look at this calendar, the goings on, right, and compare it to this calendar when stuff is due, it helps me really quickly and easily go, okay, this is all due the 30th. What does the week leading up to that look like? Well, this week isn't too bad, but the beginning of it's kind of busy. And oh, this week, so-and-so has extra stuff going on that week. So I need to, those are days I'm not going to be able to get that work done. I need to pick different days to do that work, right? Having those side by side in this format for my brain works really well to be able to compare when this is a list of stuff, I need to get it done. What are going to be good days to get it done versus not so good days to get it done, right? And it's just here for the month. I don't have to have it scattered all over. I had thought about, a little section for each class. That isn't going to help me get it done. I liked the idea of kind of playing, right? Organizing it in that fashion, setting up little sections for each class. I love that. But I also know that long term, that is not going to be beneficial for me getting this stuff done on time. And that's the whole point, is this stuff has to be done on time. So that needs to be my focus. Getting it done on time means getting it where I'm going to see it and I can access it easily. That is in my monthly. So When information comes in, it goes onto my dailies. And when I do a quick daily review, and if it doesn't happen every day, it happens every other day, but it eventually trickles back up to the weekly. And if something doesn't get done one week, it gets moved to the next week. If it's kind of a nebulous thing, I jotted it down and it's like, oh yeah, I need to do that at some point, probably this month. I may not necessarily put it in the weekly, because if my mindset when I jot it down is, oh yeah, I need to get to that in the next couple of weeks, I don't want it on this week. I may not get to it this week, but I have to keep it written down or it'll get lost. That's where it ends up in the monthly list instead. Okay, so that's kind of getting information in here, right? This is kind of the hub of that, is the daily. And then getting information back out of it is a question of how my brain works, right? I know if I need to find out what's happening next month, I know I need to go to my yearly pullout and see what's going on. You know, oh, can we do this activity or wherever on such and such a day? You know, will my husband be home for it? Let's say, well, I can check this. I know. Oh, can we, do this extracurricular activity next Wednesday? Well, let me look. Yep, we can, right? It's all a question of, I know my month is set up as a block. I don't set my weeks up until the week before or the weekend before, like Saturday. Usually it's Saturday, sometimes it's Sunday. I like doing it on Saturday because then that really forces me to look through the list and see what I haven't gotten done yet, so that I can then hopefully get it done between Saturday and Sunday. So that is how that works. Getting information in. My dailies are my inbox. Information kind of filters from the projects into the monthly, from the yearly lists into the monthly. All of that gets filtered down into the weekly, where it's more broken down. The schedule, at least, because I don't have the schedule on the monthly for school. I don't need every single day to say the same thing, but I do need it somewhere because I have to do all that driving. And then the daily is the specifics: dropping off, picking up, classes, tasks, inbox items that have popped in my head throughout the day. That is what these are for. And I'll tell you what, these new day on 2 pages from SM Plans have really saved me. She came out with these at the perfect time because I am using the heck out of them and I needed them. So it was perfect timing. Journaling is kind of part of the system, but not really. I just like having everything in one book. So this is right now, journaling is when it happens. It does not happen every day. Sometimes it happens a whole bunch in one day. Just completely depends. I do not have any projects for school in here yet because I'm only a week in, so I don't have any big projects coming up yet. But that is how this will work, is there will be, I won't use one of these lists because these lists are basically my inbox lists, but I really could take some of those out actually. Depending on the size of the project, it will go on one of these. Okay, these are from Paper Test Design. So the project will go over here. The task list for it will go over here, right? If I need more space than this, I can either keep going with, just ignore this box and keep going with the task list for this project, or, I can just use regular, lined paper, use one of these get it done lists for the full project, for the tasks, right? And then those tasks, depending on when the project is due and when I'm starting it, will filter up into the monthly task list or the weekly task list. Okay, so that is pretty much it. I hope that made sense. I hope the cat wasn't too loud. I kicked her out of here so I could record this because she kept wanting to lay right here and she's kind of scratching at the door. So I hope that made sense. For me, the key to figuring out my system, like I said, was information in and information out. I need to be able to get information in here consistently in the same place, which is my dailies, so that when I have to go at the end of the day and go, okay, what do I need to migrate, right? What doesn't need to live on that daily? Oh, I need to get that done this month. It can go on the monthly task list. Oh, that popped in my head. I need to get it done this week. It goes on the weekly task list. And then when I see those tasks, they actually get done. They don't get lost in the cracks. They don't get forgotten. But I am able to get information in and get information out without having to give it a whole lot of thought, right? Because that brain power, I don't need to be using that for getting information in here and retrieving it. I need to use that brain power for productive things. I want this to just be instant, right? So I hope that helps. I know a couple of you had questions after I posted my setup. My setup is exactly the same as it was. I did change my cover, but my setup's the same. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comment box down below. Anything you see in here, if you're wondering where it came from, everything is linked in the last setup video I did in the description box. And I will hopefully talk to you all soon. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me. Bye-bye.